Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to True Talk Tuesday, where we talk about the real deal on real estate and everything in between. Tonight, I told you I was going to have a special guest. I have Savannah Pineda from Goosehead Insurance with us tonight, and she is going to give us what we don't know about homeowners insurance. And I can tell you from first-time home buyers, some of these questions that I've got for her tonight, I hear it all the time. So, with no further delay, hey Savannah, how are you?
Hi, great. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am very thankful that you could be with us tonight. I know that you get really super busy with what you do, so I appreciate you taking the time and agreeing to answer these questions. If you don't mind letting my viewers know, you know, who you are, what do you do? Give us a little bit of information about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So I am a Florida native, born and raised till
There's
I
not,
die,
not many of
hopefully.
us, okay?
I see myself owning a vacation home, maybe Milwaukee. But this will always be home for me. Polk
We
County
say the same.
specifically, I think. I know. But
We're
I
gonna be
love
reverse snowbirds.
yeah, basically. That's basically what it's gonna be. Let's see. Like I was talking to you earlier, I kind of had a little bit of a hippie growing up environment. Wasn't really allowed on electronics or anything like that. Very religious household. I grew up working on Volkswagen buses. I grew up on the Beatles, so I'm a fan of the Beatles. I used to say for the longest that's the only concert I'll pay for, but I have paid for another concert, so I can't say that anymore. Um, but yeah, that was I played soccer growing up. I learned volleyball recently to help my daughter, but my first job out of high school was Taco Bell.
Okay.
I loved Taco Bell, and I really wanted to work there.
Yeah.
So I was on my best behavior during my interview. A year later, my boss was like, "You're just insane," and I'm like, "Well, you didn't pass that in an interview, so now you're stuck with me for another year or two." So that was when I
Sorry.
was 16. Yeah. 18, applied at Geico.
Okay.
Um, they basically have you in this room. They do like a typing test first, and they have you sit outside of this room, and they call you into another room one by one. And I thought, oh my God, I want to get called into the room because I want the job, right?
Yeah.
And then you see the people go into the room and then out the front door, and it's like, oh, you don't want to be called into the room. So,
Yeah.
anyways, out of 50, I think I was like the last three others standing. And then you go through a few other tests. And finally, if you're lucky enough, later on, you find out you're not so lucky after you start working there. But if you're lucky enough to get the job. So I did Geico corporate we always say our Geico people, we did our time at Geico.
Right. Right.
I did my time at Geico. Very blessed for the knowledge, though. I will say that they do make sure that we're an expert in what we do.
Yeah, I've heard training is really good at Geico. It is.
Oh, it's
They're
very
solid.
thorough.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very thorough. They want you to know what you're talking about. And then I got a little bit of a break after that. Got to get a fun job, as you will. I got to get into dog grooming for a little bit,
Yeah.
which I still do twice a month. I try to just stick to 2 Sundays a month. Sometimes I don't. I know, not good.
we also talked about that.
Yes,
People that we
yes.
love, we go above and beyond for, even when it doesn't. We shouldn't because it exhausts us, but we do it anyways because we love people.
It's just who we are. Exactly. It's never going to stop. It's just who we are.
Yeah.
And then I went into banking financials for a little bit. So I'll kind of get into that later on where I did ancillary products. I did do customer service for the bank as well. But I also did force placed insurance, which is not a fun place to be.
Yeah.
And then my coworker there told me that Corey's team was looking for someone to add on. And I was kind of not feeling my 2-hour commute to Tampa. So I was like, you know what? Sounds good. And now here I am.
Well, I'm glad that the path has wound you this way because we've met at Polk County Women Mean Business.
Okay.
By the way, Lisa Gardner has commented. She's like, "Hey, ladies!"
Hi,
So
Lisa.
she's watching. But we met there, and I am so happy that I've met Savannah because if you haven't seen my Facebook post, like Savannah helped me out quite a bit last week, and it wasn't even with insurance. It was with something else. She was looking up quotes for me. So I am super, super glad. Oh, Corey just went. Whoop, whoop.
Hi, Corey. Hi, Paul.
What's up, Corey? So tonight, what I have sent Savannah, I did send her a list of questions that I get quite often. And we are going to go over questions that I get from first-time home buyers, because statistically right now, first-time home buyers are in their 40s, right? Statistically. But I have a large pool of former students that are in their 30s. And you would think 30s, we know what we're talking about with insurance. And that's a negative, big buddy. All right. We don't know that. We don't know those kind of things just yet until we actually have to deal with homeowners insurance, sort of like your car insurance. Until you've actually had to deal with it, you don't know what to ask. And so then you get into something and you're like, oh, I should have asked this. So I have had my first-time home buyers send me questions, and I sent them over to Savannah. So we're going to start with the first question that I got. All right, Savannah?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So the first question I got was, what does a standard homeowner's insurance policy actually cover, and what does it not cover?
Yeah. All my questions are winded, and I do ramble, just a disclaimer.
Nope. Go ahead, because I rambled.
Okay. So a standard homeowner's policy, just in the US, it's designed to protect your home, your belongings, and you financially. If someone were to say, let's say, God forbid, get injured on your property. And the coverage details do vary by insurer, but they all have a basic map, right? So there's the dwelling coverage, other structures, personal property, loss of use, personal liability coverage, and medical payments. So we'll kind of get into each one of those. So with dwelling, it's going to cover damages to the physical structure of your home, basically. And it's for covered perils. What are covered perils? For example, commonly covered causes could be like fire and smoke, falling objects, lightning, theft and vandalism, explosions, things like that. And it's generally going to cover your walls, your roof, your floors, and attached garage and built-in appliances. So with that, the next one would be other structures. So other structures is usually a percentage of your dwelling. It's commonly 10% of your dwelling. So let's say if your dwelling limit is at 300,000, then your other structures is going to typically be at 10%. But most carriers do have it customizable. So let's say if you have a lot in that backyard, like a bunch of sheds, things like that, you can increase that. That shouldn't be a problem for most carriers. Other structures, for example, are going to be like the detached garages. It could be a fence, a gazebo. It could be a shed, things like that.
Okay.
So then you also have personal property. So personal property, what we like to say is like you cut your roof off, you turn your house upside down, you shake it, and everything that falls out, that's going to be your personal property. You tend to see this at a 50% limit of the dwelling, but again, it's customizable. So, maybe you're a minimalist and you only want maybe like 0%. That's an option, not recommended, but it is an option. But let's say you're a minimalist. No, I think I would recommend maybe that 50 to 65%. But if you are, you just live this very simple life and that's who you are and you like to up and go when you please, maybe you prefer 25%. That's an option. There's also loss of use. Loss of use is important. So this is kind of if, God forbid, there were a covered event and you were displaced from your home, it's going to pay for like hotel stays, food, laundry service, things that you wouldn't normally have to pay that you now have to pay. Loss of use, and then what would come after that? So then your liability, your personal liability. So let's say someone were to get hurt on your property, and this is whether they're uninvited or invited sometimes. And there is a lawsuit, your personal liability is going to cover you in that instance. You tend to see the average at 300,000. If you're trying to save money, you can do 100,000, but typically it impacts the premium so little. It's really not worth it. It's not something, it's not, as a professional, it's not my go-to. If you're saying, hey, can we cut this down any, it's just not going to move it enough to make it worth it.
Okay.
And then you kind of have your medical payments, which is less serious things. Maybe someone just trips on a step and needs stitches. You tend to see that at a $5,000 limit for medical payments. It'll basically help go towards their medical bills.
Okay. All right. And then the next question, by the way, when you say 300,000 limit, you're talking about the price of the home?
So the 300,000 limit is for your liability. So if someone were to sue you, so that's just the standard. So your home could be even $1 million dwelling limit, or even smaller at $150,000 dwelling limit. But 300,000 is kind of the average that you tend to see with most carriers for liability if someone were to, let's say, come after you with a lawsuit.
Okay. Okay. All right. Second question. Is homeowners insurance required when buying a home? And why do lenders require it? Now, I think I know the answer, but let me hear it from you.
Okay, sure. So homeowners insurance is not required by law, but it is typically required by your mortgage lender.
Right.
That is
Right.
the short answer.
And
Why
it's to
lenders?
protect their asset, right?
Well, exactly. So you want to get it just to protect your asset, whether you have a mortgage or not. It's a good thing
Right.
to carry. But lenders are going to require it just because you ask them for a certain amount of money at the end of the day. They, as a bank, in order to stay in business, right, they have to make sure they're protected. So this is kind of their way to protect the money that they lent out to you. So they are going to require you to carry the dwelling amount at a certain amount. RCEs, what they're looking at specifically when they're looking at the coverage for the dwelling, for the money that they put out for that home.
Right. Right. And there are things, I think we have a question about this later, but there are things that can actually stop you having coverage on your home. And then that would prevent lending from happening. And I've said it time and time again on this channel, but there are things that if they come up in inspections or things of that nature, insurance just can't cover them. Correct?
Yeah. So are you referring? Yeah. So basically the main things you're going to look at are water heater, electrical, plumbing, and roof. Those are the main things that tend to be an issue. For roof, there are some companies that will take 15, 20-year-old roofs, but with certain stipulations. We had a situation that the specific situation that I helped you out on, where the roof technically was within the year that carriers are looking for, but unfortunately there was granular loss to the shingle that was very obvious, and that was going to stop any carrier from wanting to take on that roof, unfortunately. And that's one of those situations where we kind of have to have a hard conversation with our client, our buyer or seller, and say, hey, this is something that is realistically going to have to get fixed if you want to get this house on the market.
Right. And one of the things that, like I said, Savannah helped me with was I had a quote. We were like, can we make this quote any better? Can we get a better quote than this on what they're going to replace the roof? But in order to get this insurance, we had to have a new roof put on. So that's where we are with that. I've had the water heater issue. They will stop even if the water heater, all water heaters, I've been told, I'm not an inspector, don't quote me, but I've had it stop because there's no drain pan on a water heater. So the age of a water heater will stop it. I have polybutylene pipes.
Oh, yeah.
Polybutylene, poly pipes. If you're buying a house, anybody says that they have poly pipes, you'll have to have it repiped.
It just depends on the carrier. I mean, I've had one where it was a mobile recently, and she had the poly, And she's like, man, this is going to be an issue. I said, actually, it's not, because I moved you over to a different carrier that doesn't like galvanized piping, but they will take poly. So it kind of just depends on the carrier. And carriers, I will say, they change their appetite quite often. I think they have a lot of time in corporate. I don't know, but they change their appetite quite often when it comes to homes. So something that might not be allowed this year might be allowed next year. Who knows?
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, you just made my whole day by saying that might be able to find somebody with poly pipes, because every time I see it, I just want to cry. I just want to cry. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be horrible.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's also other things that I've heard, and you do not have to confirm any of it, right? You can just say, I plead the fifth, right? But tell me this. I have heard that insurance companies are using drones to see if there's anything that would cause issues in a home.
Yeah, 100%. They can do that. They're actually known to do that before hurricanes season is about to hit, or there's a known storm. They will send out drones and go ahead and take an image of all the roofs in that area. So if you try to put in a claim, it's like, well, this is what it was before the storm. This is what it is after the storm. So I'm not saying which carriers do, but it is.
Yeah. I have another agent that I know that they came to her, they sent her an official letter and said she had to take down her trampoline. And she had to have a certified letter. Yeah, she had to have a certified letter saying that she was not going to put it back up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how'd they even know? And they're like, drone. They saw
it. Will fly though. I know there's something we got to do with trampolines, because they will just fly and take out families. Like they're not the safest thing.
We had a trampoline before, I know, and they're not fun when you have to go hunt them down.
No, and then realistically, that you can't really take them down when a storm's cut. There's not really a good way to store it, you know.
No, we would flip them upside down. So when we knew that there was a storm coming, we'd flip it upside down, and then we'd put like whatever heavy on top of it.
On top of it. Way, yeah.
But
the insurance carriers too. Like, look, it's good.
It's fine. We're gonna put the swing set on top of it. It'll be fine.
Send the rider into orbit.
I've had one go into orbit on just a regular summer storm, and I did not want one ever again after that. All right. Yeah. How do I determine how much coverage I really need as a first-time home buyer? This is a great question.
So I would say to insure yourself against a financial catastrophic loss without overpaying for coverage you don't realistically need. So I would say mainly focus on your personal coverage, your personal property coverage, your dwelling, your liability coverage, your loss of use. I would say those four I would mainly focus on if you're a first-time home buyer trying to really hone down on like the important things. With dwelling, I would ask what is the cost to rebuild, right? So let's talk about the cost to rebuild. So the dwelling limit should reflect the reconstruction cost of your home, not the purchase price, not the Zillow price, not the realtor price. Because see, when you're looking at the price on Realtor or on Zillow, it's taken in consideration not only the home, but also the market value in that area. It's also taken into consideration any amenities in, let's say, your HOA or whatever the case is, that's, driving that price up. It's also taken into consideration your land, where rebuilding cost depends on just local labor costs, construction materials, home size, roof type, finishes and upgrades. That's what the dwelling is going to cover. It's not going to cover your land. It's not taking into consideration that you have a nice like rec area and pool and all these other amenities, that some communities have. It doesn't care about that, to be honest. So that's why the house might be at 1.2 million on the market, and then you're going to see your dwelling at maybe 950,000. That's why it's not taking into consideration all those other things that the market value is taken into consideration. I would say, like a good rule of thumb, let's say if your home purchase price is 500,000 and your land value is only 100,000, well, then you know that your estimated rebuild cost might be close to, let's say, 400,000 or 370 or somewhere around that range. You know, you always want to take away the land value because that's not something that your insurance carriers take into consideration at all.
Right. Okay.
Always take into consideration replacement cost over ACV. That's going to be important. Sometimes it does make a decent price difference, but in the end, it's just not worth it. So always go for replacement cost over actual cash value, because actual cash value is going to subtract depreciation, where replacement cost is it's actually looking at what it would cost to replace that item or the roof or the dwelling or whatever the case is.
Okay. So when they're working, because oftentimes the buyers will work with lenders, or occasionally us as a realtor would reach out to somebody like you, right? And say, hey, is that something that you're looking at for them? Is this first time home buyer little solution, what's their best? Or is it that you're working after something that they've already talked to you about?
It depends. So it depends. Okay, so let's say if it's a first-time home buyer, right? Lots of times I like to get to know them. So if they're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, in the age of 30, okay, I think you're going to do just fine. You know, maybe that's a different conversation. But if we're looking like maybe a family that's just starting out, I'm gonna kind of lead that. I'm not gonna say like, hey, are you looking to like really save money and you just want a cheap policy, whatever the case is, because there are some more, let's say like they buy up properties, right? They're not going to keep it for long. It's an investment, whatever the case is. And then there's also some families that are more established and, you know, they're looking for more coverage and they have a lot of assets, whatever the case is. But if we're looking for just like a normal base, let's say mid-range 30s, just starting off life, maybe have, you know, babies, things like that, I'm going to kind of lead the way on that. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions that might seem kind of funky. It's like, hey, what do you do for work? Just because I also want to get to know you, but also to kind of think of like, realistically, are you going to be able to pay, you know, a 5% deductible? What are your hobbies? Like, what do you have inside your home? Do you need $100,000 worth of coverage, or do you need something closer to 30,000? I'm going to try to ask those questions so I can kind of do all of that thinking for you. And I can just present it to you and explain to you, hey, based off the conversation I have, based off of the hobbies that you told me you have and your belongings, and realistically, you know, you're working on paying off credit debt. So maybe you don't have a large savings. So I did deduct a little bit lower based on our conversations that we have as a professional and to client. That's going to let me know what I'm going to be able to offer you.
Okay. So this is why I honestly believe that instead of going and just like calling Geico or just calling a major corporation for an insurance quote, I honestly believe you need to have an insurance agent that you like and that you trust, because it's just like a realtor. Like we're gonna find what works best for you. We're gonna get to know you. We're gonna know who you are, and we're gonna make sure that we're doing what we should by you. Whereas a big corporation, you're just another number.
And I will say with the corporation, it's very rare. I mean, I would handle maybe 100 calls per day at corporate, and it's very rare that I got a second person. It's probably because they had called 8 times because they were dealing with an issue. Which in that case, I was very like, I'm going to take care of you. I'd be like, here, if you call in again, just ask for me and I will take care of you, because like, I'm very like, I can be very controlling. So it's like, I don't trust anyone else in the company to take care of you. I know what's going on. I'm going to take care of it.
This is why I love you, Savannah, because I do the same thing. I don't trust people to take care of my people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I just don't. And the same thing with the dog grooming. It's like, I think about my clients, I'm like, but what if they mistreat them, or what if they don't understand them? It's like, there's plenty of other good dog groomers. It's just me. I'm just dramatic.
Right.
But yes, I will say that at corporate, you know, coming from the corporate world, at the end of the day, I have to spiel out the corporate,
right,
whatever you want to say. I have to do that. Every single call is monitored. They have expectation down to the tone of my voice, and each word I would say would get nitpicked. So unfortunately at corporate, we only have so much room to try to put our input on what we think is best for you. It's what that insurance carrier specifically, whether it's Geico, Progressive, or State Farm, thinks is best for you, unfortunately. Right. So when you reach out to an agency, you're really speaking person to person, what we're noticing, what we're hearing, and we can give our honest feedback and let you know what you're needing, what it sounds like you don't need, the pricing, have those hard conversations. It's really, like you said, I think it's a better option than it is to just call corporate.
100%. 100%. All right. What is, oh, we already talked about
I was going to say, some of these questions I feel like are intertwined already.
We talked about what the replacement cost and actual cash value and which one was better. And you said replacement. Replacement is better, correct? Make sure I heard that right. Okay. I was like, did I space out and didn't listen to it right?
Replacement cost is better. It's just going to reimburse you for the cost of buying a new item or similar kind of quality at current prices.
Inflation's a thing, so
it is. Where actual cash value, it's gonna minus the depreciation. So it doesn't. So let me give you an example. So let's say TVs, right? TVs are my favorite example because they age horribly. So example, let's say you bought a TV 6 years ago for $1,200. Today, a comparable new TV may cost $1,000. That's where that replacement cost is going to come in for you. So maybe you might have a deductible, minus deductible, you're going to get that $1,000 TV, right? Where if you do actual cash value, it's going to take into consideration the age, the wear and tear, the depreciation. So same example, $1,200 TV, replacement cost $1,000. Depreciated value at 6 years is maybe $250, $400. And that's just a TV. So imagine anything else you have in your home. Imagine roof. Imagine roof at ACV compared to replacement cost. It's huge.
I know. We made that mistake. We had cash value for roof, and I don't know why we did that. In Hurricane Ian, we had an issue with the roof. The roof came up at the edges of our house, and literally water came into the walls of our house. So when I first got back home, I pushed on the wall and water was just squeezing. Wow. It was horrible. It was so bad. So we went and had to have a new roof replaced, and they paid for $2,000 of our $14,000 roof. Yeah. It was a nightmare.
I don't even have to say anything else, because that's the exact situation that realistically people end up in. And it's like, who has, especially in this economy, in this market, who has $10K for a roof? Right. And then is still able to go on life like nothing happened.
Right. We had to finance it. And again, like, that's another payment that we weren't expecting to have.
Exactly. And it's not like a $2,000 payment that you can pay off in like a year, right? This is years that you now have to add on that. And what if something else happens on the road, and that's another pay, and then next thing you know, you're in debt, right?
Exactly.
All with the roof replacement costs.
And that's why I wish I would have had an insurance agent back then when we were choosing our homeowners insurance. I actually, this time around, I worked with Sean this time. I hadn't met you yet, okay? Lisa said in comments, she goes, that is an expensive way to learn the difference. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, and so many of us do. So many of us learn that the hard way. All right. Does homeowners insurance cover hurricanes, wind damage, and flooding, or do I need separate policies? And I want to say here in Florida, hurricane it's not a separate policy, but it is an additional, right? It's like I don't know how to explain it, because I know that my hurricane situation is different than my structural situation.
So homeowners insurance usually covers some hurricane related damage, but not everything.
Right.
The key distinction is between wind damage and flood damage. So how it typically works is, with a standard homeowners policy, It's generally going to cover like wind damage from hurricanes, like roof damage, like broken windows, if like a damage from like trees falling. That's very common here in Florida. I know like anytime a hurricane comes by, you just see me by the window, which people yell at me anytime I'm in the house with a hurricane. They're like, stay away from the windows. I'm like, it's hot and I'm watching for the trees and the transfuser things to blow. Like, what else do you want me to do? My phone's dead. I'm risking my life.
Hurricane fireworks. That's what I call
this way. It's very Floridian. Okay. I'm very on par.
It's very Floridian. Yes.
I want to go.
We're the weirdos that will like everything's calm. It's like, oh, it's the eye of the storm. I want to go outside and see, and we'll walk outside in the eye of the storm.
Yeah. For at least a good 5 seconds and just
right. And
it's wait, it's not recommended. I forget. We're on a podcast. We do not recommend that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
And we did not suggest that at all. All right. We said that's a weird Floridian thing. All right. Weird.
Yes,
don't be weird. All right. By the way, we have Bree Humbert that gave us some hearts.
Oh, hi, Bree.
And Stacy Melissa said, hi, ladies.
Hi, Stacy. It's so funny. Bree is who connected me to Corey to now work with Corey and work for Shar. So
okay.
She's great. An amazing cook, by the way. If anyone wants to click on her on Facebook, she's a great cook.
Okay. All right.
So we talked about hurricane, right? Hurricane deductibles in Florida, the average is 2%. You can see 5%. I wouldn't say it's like a huge price difference normally, but you can see the 5%. But as far as like what's not covered is the flooding from like storm surges, rising water. So like if you get overflow from a canal or like a lake, that's not covered. Street flooding, that's not covered. Water entering from the ground upward, that's not covered. So that's all a flood policy. I mean, a great example was Hurricane Milton. You know, that hit, and my heart goes out to Tampa. That hit us so hard and it devastated so many families. And believe it or not, most of those houses were in flood zone X.
Yeah.
So it can be very misleading if you hear I'm in flood zone X. I don't need flood insurance. I'm not in a flood zone. Everyone in Florida is in a flood zone. Do you see us? We're this big. What are we surrounded by? Water. Everyone in Florida is in a flood zone. If anything, flood zone X peoples take advantage of it because your flood insurance is really cheap because of that. So you get it for cheaper than someone that isn't in a flood zone. But Hurricane Milton is a huge example of why even flood zone X. I mean, they were experiencing flooding days after Milton in those flood zone X's, right? So it's super important to have. What did Shar say?
Yes, Shar said, Savannah, people write on Facebook that as long as you say wind-driven rain, your home insurance will cover flood damage.
No, don't listen to them. Don't listen to Facebook. Listen to us in a podcast on Facebook. But other than that, don't listen.
Right.
Yeah. Facebook can have a lot of misinformation for sure. But no, that is not true.
I can tell you from firsthand that didn't work. My eldest daughter, she lives in a mobile home that is near a lake, like right on from her back porch, she can see the lake. Mm-hmm. And during Milton, it flooded and it came up underneath her house. Mm-hmm. And it was a mess. They could not live in their house. Because it's completely flooded. They had so much remediation to do on that house, and they finally got it mostly done. It's all, I would say, I think there's a few things that she's still wanting to take care of, but it's better than what it was. But it took them so long to remediate this house, and it was a back and forth with their insurance. Back and forth. They've got a hurricane policy, and they did not have flood insurance because they're in flood zone X. So they did not have to have it. And they did not want to cover it. FEMA did not want to cover it. So it was finally, I think they ended up somehow negotiating something with their insurance. So the insurance took care of replacing floors, but they did not take care of any of the mold remediation due to the water intrusion.
That's another thing, right? You have to think about everything that comes after that flooding as well that is not covered.
Yeah. So it's super important to have flood insurance. Now, what would have happened if she had flood insurance?
Yeah, if she had flood insurance, then that home would have been covered, right? Her dwelling, and also personal property, you can have that covered on flood insurance as well. So your belongings inside your home would have been covered as well, depending on what type of flood policy you picked.
Okay. All right. See, we're learning stuff here. Normally, by the way, we're over at 8:30, so I'm keeping you a little longer. I
apologize.
My God.
I was prepared for an hour.
I try to make them 30 minutes because I know that people are busy, and on a Tuesday, all right, I'm just
we'll keep everyone around for one more question. I'm sure we have time for one.
Okay, we're gonna do one more question. Let's make this one a good one. Okay, all right. This one I get told all the time, and I will say I even think this, so this is a good one to talk about.
Okay.
What happens if I file a claim? Will my rate increase or will my policy be canceled? And I will tell you, I'm the first person to say, I don't want to put a claim in because I'm scared to death that my policy will get canceled.
Perfect. That's a great way to live. No. We don't want you to be scared, but I mean, The short answer is yes. Filing home insurance claims in Florida can affect your premiums. In some situations, it can contribute to non-renewals or cancellations. It just depends on the type of claim and how many claims you've had, and the insurer's underwriting rules. Again, their appetite continuously changes. We have 75 carriers that we write with, so sometimes it can be a little difficult to keep up with what each one wants and their expectations and their rules. And thankfully, we do really good about as far as like meeting with our market reps and trying to keep up to date on that. So will your rate increase after claim? Often, yes. Insurance companies mainly evaluate like the number of claims, like your size of claims, like type of damage, like your overall risk profile. Claims that are more likely to affect premiums are like water damage, roof claims, especially in Florida, roof claims. I don't like roof claims. Repeated weather claims, and especially liability claims, right? We don't like liability claims. Can your policy be canceled? There's two different types of cancellations. There's just a cancellation, which you'll kind of see during the early part of the policy term, non-payment, mispresentation on the application, or like major property hazards, like something in the inspection, causes it not to go through. You also have a non-renewal. So this is more common in Florida just because you'll see just excessive property risk, just poor maintenance, company reducing Florida exposure. So we'll have some companies just stop writing in Florida. Yeah. Unfortunately, that happens a lot. But roof claims are hurricanes. Yes, yeah. They don't, and they get scared, which is, I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. You have to have money to have an insurance company in Florida. I will say that.
Right.
Roof claims are especially sensitive in Florida. Just the roof age, prior claims, storm-related roof damage. Those are going to be closely monitored compared to maybe let's say if you had a roof claim, but it was during a hurricane. So obviously, hundreds of thousands, maybe even had roof claims along with you. That's not really going to look at. But if you had maybe 3 roof claims or something like that year, probably not going to get non-renewed. You're probably going to have to find insurance elsewhere. So within reason. But in general, insurance is think catastrophic. Think of like, there's no way I can take care of this of myself. I have to reach out to my home insurance. That's kind of when you want to reach out to your home insurance. Same thing with auto, kind of. For something that's like maybe $1,000 fix, you really should not be contacting your insurance company.
They don't want to hear from you. All right. They just want your money. That's it.
I have a family friend that she had called water backup toilet something. They said it's not covered, but now every time I reshop her policy, underwriting's like, what happened? What's going on here? Nothing ever even got paid, but it's an issue now. So you really don't want to call unless like it's something bad.
Okay. Bonus question then, since you brought this up. There are times where I am in a deal with a buyer, and when we go through title and we go to bind insurance as well, we find there is this outstanding claim, right? That stops us from getting insurance. Yeah. So what is your solution for that? Like, what in that moment? I know what we've done, but what should happen in that moment?
For us personally, we have a great relationship with our carriers and underwriting. So there's lots of times where as long as we get details and it's something that we can move around, we can just contact underwriting, and it's usually like, yep, okay, got it, understand. We just need, let's say, proof that it's fixed or whatever the case is, and then we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay.
It just depends really on the carrier.
I worked a deal where there was a kitchen fire, and the claim was made, but then the claim was not cleared. And so it became a huge issue. We had to have another additional inspection come out in order to make sure that everything was cleared because it was fire. Now, if it would have been anything other than fire, I guess, it wouldn't have gone this way, but it was an electrical fire in the kitchen. It wasn't a grease fire.
They'll want to see like updates right in electrical to make sure that's all up to date, things like that. Usually I would say with most carriers, as long as there's with smaller things, as long as there's like maybe a signed statement or other things we can think of. I can't think of it exactly right now, but we can send off saying like good faith to get this fixed within 30 days or whatever the case is. Or with the bigger things, like get it inspected, need proof, written out order, exactly what was replaced, and send that off to underwriting. Usually we can go ahead and move forward.
Yeah. Well, Savannah, thank you so very much for being on tonight. I appreciate it.
This was so much fun. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought.
I told you she was very nervous, by the way, guys, and I told her you're gonna be fine. It's great.
It's fun. Absolutely not.
I hate editing these, by the way, because I'm like, oh, that's what I sound. Okay, all right.
Well, it's out there now.
You did amazing, by the way. Thank you so very much. How do people get in contact with you if they want to work with you?
Yeah. So I'm not very good at memorizing my phone number, but my email is my Facebook name. So Savannah .Pineda at goosehead.com. And then my phone number is 863-274-3946. Or you can get a hold of Shar and Corey, and I'm sure they'll direct you to me as well.
Or you can contact me and I will put you in contact.
I love Lisa. As soon as I saw her, I remember seeing her at our first meeting. I was like, I want to be her friend. And if she remembers my name one day, I'm going to be so happy. And like, my dreams are accomplished. So I'm happy.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think it's the green hair that just makes people go, I think she might be okay. I think she might be cool.
Also, once you start talking and telling about yourself and like artistic side and just, you're so whimsical and so positive, and like, you can just tell you have a good heart, and I can read that immediately. And I just love you. You're great.
Appreciate that. You said whimsical, and I have to tell everybody this thing that happened today real quick. I occasionally carry stickers in my pocket. Why? I don't know. I do. And I might even have like tumbled stones in my pocket just because, right? And so today I was at a networking meeting, and I'm just handing out like these stickers, these plant stickers that say "Way to grow." Like,
So cute.
and one of the agents looks at me. She goes, "Did you just pull stickers out of your pocket?" And I'm like, "Mm-hmm."
Yes, and you've probably been up like since like 8 a.m. going, and here you are just giving out stickers. And that's what, I mean, who does that?
Just hand stickers. It's fine. Everybody's living with joy. So I appreciate you, Savannah, so much for being on. And I am glad that you wanted to talk to me because I think you're a cool person too. So I appreciate you very, very much. Yeah. If you're wanting to get a hold of Savannah, reach out to me or rewind this and get her phone number or Facebook, whatever she will answer you. All right. And until next week, my lovelies. And next week, we're going to have Sarah Stiegler on, lender extraordinaire. And we're going to talk about what a CRA fund is and how that can help buyers. But until next week, my lovelies, be happy, be safe. Know that I love you, because if people can hate for no reason, I can love for no reason.
Stay away from the windows during hurricanes.
That's right. No, we're weird Floridians. Remember that.
We're certified.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.